If you're joining us from our first video, then you know we set out with the goal of traveling for an entire year, but we really didn't break down how we plan on making that work. So in this video, we'll show you our first 2 weeks in Portugal and give you a few details on how we plan on making this trip last. Our first 2 weeks in Portugal were spent in and around the Lisbon area, but honestly it was just way too crowded and hot for us to spend a ton of time there. Not to mention it was a little bit more pricey than we planned. You see, our goal for this trip was to stay around $140 a day for the entire trip. And staying under budget actually was kind of harder than I expected in Lisbon. Now, there are definitely more affordable places once you walk around and really explore, but if you wanted to eat in the really touristy areas, then you're going to pay a pretty penny. And at this point in our trip, we were still trying to figure out how to do this whole budget travel thing and make it last. So we really avoided Lisbon as much as possible, which led us to some pretty beautiful places like over in Cascais. And I think that's one of the best parts about Lisbon. You don't have to stay in the busy city center with all the tourists and all the shops and every restaurant you can imagine. You can go outside and hop on a metro or bus and get anywhere for a relatively cheap price. And with us only having a $140 budget, cheap was good. So a lot of the times we just ventured out, hung out at parks and found a beach and just wandered until we found something we liked. Or, you know, got attacked by the occasional chicken here and there.
It's a cock attack.
I'm actually a little afraid. Did you see them all running?
Now you might be wondering where we got this $140 a day budget from. And for us, it was pretty simple. We just took the amount of money we were willing to spend over the next year and broke that down into our daily average spending for the most expensive places we planned on visiting. Now, we understand that over the next 12 months, we're not going to average that every single day. Some areas are going to be more expensive, while others are going to be much more budget friendly. And really what it comes down to is making some sacrifices in some of the places we stay and some of the restaurants we eat at, and maybe missing out on a tour or two. But if we want to make this last, then maybe instead of getting a steak dinner, we eat some pizza. Maybe instead of pizza, we eat at the grocery store. And maybe instead of an Uber ride, we take the steamy hot public transportation that takes you down some of the wildest paths you've ever been on. It makes you wonder how these things are even legal in the first place. Like this Indiana Jones themed bus ride we took all the way up into the mountains of Portugal.
My back is
So, lesson learned. Don't take the bus from Cascais to Colares. It's like a roller coaster.
Unless you
I'm
are
sick.
motion sick and don't like roller coaster rides. It's like the Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I think I'm about to throw up, but let's go drink some beer.
Yeah, I get it. It's not an actual themed ride, but you get the point. Sometimes checking out the area by public transportation is the best way to see things though. It keeps the cost down and takes you to some of your favorite places without really having to plan out where you go. Just hop on, check out the area, and hop off whenever you find a little hidden gem like this brewery. Public transportation is not only one of the easiest ways of seeing the area, but it's also one of the best ways to keep costs down. Because every penny we save by not booking a private ride is another day that we get to hang out and eat the best food we can possibly find. In order to stay on budget in the Lisbon area, we had to do much more than just take public transportation. Although I found a shared space for about $40 a night, it wasn't the most comfortable. And even though it doesn't look too bad looking back on it, when you have a shared kitchen, shared bathrooms, and most of all, no AC and 103 degrees, oof, not the best time. Even though the cost of tourism in the Lisbon area seems to be rising the past couple of years, I still think it's worth visiting. There's so much to see just by walking around. I don't think there's anything wrong with just walking around instead of standing in line, waiting 2 hours just to go into a museum. There's plenty of artwork street side. I think everywhere you look, just go around the corner and find a sweet shop, find some tiled buildings, find a scenic area, and just hang out. There's absolutely nothing wrong with not spending all your money by hopping into museums or booking tours or finding the most expensive fancy restaurant you can find. And for us, we actually came at a time of year where a lot of things were just under construction. It was either that or there were some areas that were on fire, so we didn't even get to visit them. Other days were just simply too hot for these mild weather Americans to explore.
It's so hot in this damn country. I'm convinced this is where Satan lives. This is awful.
Melting.
Overall, I think we made the most of our time in the Lisbon area. But you gotta remember that we're taking things slow because we're traveling for the next year. Now, if we would have had a week or two vacation, we would have jumped in those lines and seen the most busy areas that are most hyped up on Instagram and Facebook and all that, but we really didn't feel like doing that. So, a lot of times we opted for the lines that were way shorter. Maybe the food was just as good, and we didn't really feel the pressure to just jump in line because we had to see it then. We knew that we had plenty of time to go around and really just slow down and take it easy, which I think really benefited us in the long run. I do think we could have probably fit a few more things in, but we kept running into this roadblock where we'd go to the really touristy areas. There was way too many people to be enjoyable, so we'd jump over to the more budget-friendly areas and honestly just had more fun relaxing and not really being around those busy areas. Between the heat and the crowds and the extra cost of eating in the touristy areas and seeing all the attractions, we just really didn't feel like doing it. And maybe on another vacation we would have, but we're still trying to figure out this long-term travel thing. Doing everything on a budget meant just kind of slowing down and taking in the sights, and it's not really what we were used to doing. In the past we would jump into every little opportunity that we could, but we knew that wasn't going to stretch our money. So we spent a lot of time just walking around and exploring. And I don't know what it is about Hannah, but if there's a staircase in a city, she's going to find it. Every single time, I swear she just tortures me. But besides all the staircases and all the hills, Hannah just had to take us up. I really enjoyed just exploring the city. It was nice to slow down and not be stressed out, not worry about anything, and really just ease into this trip. It's so easy to get influenced by everything you see on the internet. It makes you think that every single minute of every single day has to be spent doing something spectacular. But really, I think the goal of a long-term trip like this is just being able to immerse yourself in different culture and a different land and see something that you've never seen before. And taking the opportunity to do things that you don't have back home. Like being able to walk 30 minutes down to the beach, something that we took for granted for the first week we were in Portugal. I don't know how we missed this for so long, but when we finally made it down, it ended up being one of our best nights there. It didn't cost us anything other than a €2 bottle of wine and a little bit of exercise, and we had a great time. The beach even came with its own local entertainment, and whatever that creature was, I don't know. But there was a local there to save the day, so we survived just fine. But over the course of this journey, you're probably going to notice one consistent too. And that's Hannah's gelato cravings. Yep, they started early and never stopped. But I can't really blame her there. If you made it this far, you probably noticed that there's no real rhyme or reason to where we're going or what we're doing. Although we wanted to plan out every little bit of Portugal and see as much of Lisbon as possible, it was kind of overwhelming. That's not to say that we didn't have fun, but in the back of our minds, we were just wondering how we were actually going to do this thing. $140 a day, several countries, a whole year of travel. Some days it felt like we had it all figured out. Other days it felt like we had absolutely no idea what we were doing, and we just kept wandering up hills, wandering down hills, and just walking around in circles. But I think that's one of the best parts about giving yourself plenty of time to travel, is that you can figure things out along the way. I mean, we've never done this before. We've never really traveled with a set budget in mind, and we've never been to these places. So although it was kind of overwhelming, looking back on it, we saw some really amazing places. And I think I would have done a couple things differently, like definitely book a room with air conditioning. Maybe plan out a couple days more than we did instead of just wandering around in circles. But that's all part of the journey. And for anybody that's looking at doing this long-term travel thing, I think you can go about it a couple different ways. You can either plan out every little day, every restaurant you're going to eat at, and every brewery you're going to stop at. Or you can just wing it and figure it out as you go. You don't have to be on anyone else's schedule. You don't have to see anything else that people say is amazing. Go see what you can, do whatever you want to do, and go from there. So with all those ramblings out of the way, I'm just going to leave this video with a couple final thoughts and an explanation on why I'm documenting this trip and why I chose to make some videos. part of it is just to show some progress. Show that we're actually figuring out how to do this travel thing. I'm figuring out how to make videos, and we're figuring out how to just live life. The other part of it is just documentation. I really didn't think this was ever possible, that I could just quit my job and take off and go see the world. And I think for the majority of people, they don't think it's possible either. But hopefully, over the next few months, when I start releasing more and more videos, you see that not only is it possible, but it's much more simple than you think. And maybe these videos might actually encourage somebody to take that journey of their own. So even though it seems like a gigantic task to move and pack up, sell everything, and take off, it's possible. And looking back on it, I'm glad that we did it. So if you have any questions on how we actually did this thing, make sure to leave a comment, ask us any question you want to, and subscribe for more videos because there's plenty more to come. So with that, I think I'm done talking. So thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for the next part.